Ready, we did it. Thank you so much, Mr. and Dr. Anthony Mattis, to be here. We are so pleased to have you joining us. Thank you, all the people that are here in the Zoom. We have a lot of people there and in Spanish Zoom too. I want to introduce you, Dr. Anthony Mattis. He is the lead of the Symphony
Just
of
call me Anthony.
Possibility.
Don't be so
Yes.
formal. It's okay.
No, it's like, oh my God, you are so important.
You're funny.
He's the lead of the Symphony of Possibilities division. It's like, in Access, we say it's a miracle division. I love that. I love that, like, kind of joke. But if I can say anything about the Symphony of Possibility, when I first met Anthony Mattis, was on the COP in Houston, and in that moment, Silvia Puentes, that was hosting the class, told me that, hey, do you want to change your life? Do you want a session with Dr. Anthony Mattis, a group session? And I was like, and I make a question, and all my body was like, full. You know? And I was like, yes, I want to make a symphony session with Anthony Mattis. And then I met Anthony, and all of my life really changed. And I'm so glad that we are now here creating a lot of things together. And one of that things is our first Zoom meeting of our
Creation.
AccessWizard creation. So
Yeah.
welcome. That's amazing. And yeah, I just feel so honored because Symphony of Possibilities have really changed my life in many ways. And maybe we can start talking about what is Symphony of Possibility for you and how to be and how to dance with the symphony. Do you want to talk about it?
I love the question, how to dance. But I also want to acknowledge Fair as well and say hi, because you and her together have created such an enthusiasm for this creation. You know, it was your ideas to kind of like, you had this desire for people who never even done Access to get a taste of an energy, like one of the energies, one of the many energies that Access has to offer. And so you guys, you ladies were the ones who encouraged, like, let's do a group session, but would you be willing to like lower your prices and let's open this up to the world so they can actually feel, or as we say, perceive these energies, especially for people who have never even done anything with Access, like really trying to reach the people who have never done Access. And so I thought it was such a beautiful idea. And I'm like, absolutely, you know, and even Dane here, Dr. Dane here, the creator of the Symphony of Possibilities, which comes from the work of energetic synthesis of being. They call it ESB. And I just want to say there is no how. You know, it's kind of like you say, dancing with the molecules with SOP. That was perfect. That's it's, to me, it's no different than the way you choose to dance to music. When you listen to music, how do you choose to move your body with it? And it's the same thing with the SOP energies. But it's not only that, it's not just your body that's involved. It's also your being, okay? Your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to say, okay? In Access, we talk about your soul as your infinite being. And so that's how we sort of use the words, but it's both the being and the body that dance with the molecules of these energies. And there's really no how to. What's beautiful about the work of SOP, the Symphony of Possibilities, is that it it's where your unique energies, it's your uniqueness, because you are like a fingerprint. There's no one else in the world that's like you. Okay. And it's something that kind of goes beyond the definition of your gender, beyond the definition of your sexuality, beyond the definition of your religion, beyond the definition of your even your culture. It's really all about your being. And if you're just willing to just show up, receive, and be you with all your blemishes, all your warts, all your insecurities, everything, it's okay. It doesn't matter. You can still be a miracle for someone else, and you can still receive a miracle for your life. So my first experience was, well, I'll share my second experience. My first experience in person was in 2014, and Dr. Danier called me up on stage and he did like a little mini session on me in front of like hundreds and hundreds of people. I was like so scared, because I was very nervous about speaking in public. Still at that point, I was really terrified. And he started working on me, and my body just started flopping around everywhere. And I just started crying, and I just started having all these realizations of where I have been pulling sadness out of people my entire life. Before I became an access conscious facilitator, I was a chiropractor. So I've always been in the healing profession. I've always liked working with people. Um, I've always wanted to help people naturally, but I was also very interested in things beyond the physical realm. I wanted to help people like on a deep, deep, deep level. So I explored so many different things. And so I felt like that day in that one session, which is only maybe 5, 10 minutes, I got so many awarenesses about the things that I did throughout my life that were very unconscious. Not because I was stupid, but because it was almost like I was functioning on automatic pilot in certain areas of my life, especially when it came to like love and romance. So that day, I realized how much sadness I pulled out of people's bodies, especially women in particular. And then it made me reflect on where I've been trying to heal my mother since I was a little boy, and it's like, wow, it was so beautiful. So, you know, what, so before even, look, I didn't even think I was going to be in this position to be facilitating the SOP, or the opening of the symphony, and to oversee the SOP classes with Dr. Dane. I never thought of that would happen to me someday. To me, it was just a prerequisite you needed to become a facilitator. And so the whole story is, I'm not going to get into the story of how that all showed up. That's it's not boring, but it's not really for this call. But for me, as the person receiving, as a participant, it was one of the most beautiful, energetic experiences I've ever had in my life. And I've had a million sessions where I've received them. And what it would do is it would somehow energetically, it would sometimes act like a machete, you know, like those really sharp blades, and it would like cut through all the limitations, like, but it was like smooth. It was like, and then it would open up my universe, and I'd be like, oh my God. It's almost like when a baby's born and it first comes out of its mother's vagina, and it's like, what? You know what I mean? And it's like, holy shit. And sometimes you'll cry, sometimes you'll laugh hysterically. Some people just fall asleep. Sometimes it's like orgasmic, and your body's like, oh my God, why is this happening? But if like you're really worried about people watching you, people will try to tend to control what's actually showing up. And that's okay too, because that gives you an awareness of where you try to control your power, your potency, your receiving, how magnificent your life could be, but you try to control it because it doesn't necessarily fit the boxes that you've created as yourself, the boxes that you live in, which are some of the boxes I named before. So, but anyway, so like there is no how. That's what's so great about this work is, and this is why I'm so excited. So I'm like, yeah, because there is no how, there is no formula to it. And, you know, um, and every culture is so different with the way they receive it. It's quite remarkable. And that's a gift too. And that has been a gift to me as a person facilitating this work and doing sessions on people all over the world, because everyone's different with the way they receive. Everyone's different with the way they allow themselves to receive. And sometimes it's based on their culture or their religion or whether they're married or not, how much money they have, how much money they don't have. maybe some of the abuses that they've experienced when they were young. Because these energies can be intense. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong. They're totally beautiful. But for some of you who have never experienced these types of energies, right? Like the only time you experienced any intense energy in your life may have come in the form of abuse. So it may bring up those memories for you. And if that happens, that's okay too. It may not be comfortable, you may cry, but that is the way your body and your being is getting rid of it once and for all, so it doesn't hold you in bondage anymore. So it's a gift. So sometimes in a session, it could be very cathartic, like a release. So, what I encourage people is like, look, let whatever come out, come out. It's okay. It's not wrong. And then there's sometimes where people are like laying on a table like this. They're like, the energy gets more intense and they're just like, they're trying to be in control and more control and more control. And again, that's okay. And I may whisper something in their ear like, hey, it's okay if you took a deep breath. You can breathe, at least one. You can have one deep breath in a 50-minute session. But it's adorable because, these aren't energies that we 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 knew that they were available, but then we sort of kind of forgot as we got older. We forgot because you're not taught these things in school. You're not taught these things in like traditional churches and whatever religions you do. Some maybe, some. I've had experiences in church with the Holy Spirit before, and I was flopping around on the floor. Consciousness is consciousness. Energy is energy. I've had those experiences. So, but it's not something that we were conditioned to receive throughout our lives. It's rare. So it's different. It's very foreign. But a lot of the reason why many of you are on this call in the first place is because somewhere in your universe, you have always known that it was possible to access these energies. Okay? Now, some people do this stuff with ayahuasca. They drink these things in fucking, I don't know, Peru or in the jungle somewhere. I don't know where the fuck it is. And they're with shamans and all that kind of shit. Great. Have a great time. That's awesome. And I've had gurus before. I've never done the ayahuasca stuff. But to me, my point of view is, would an infinite being need ayahuasca to become enlightened? And the problem with that is, what happens when you're not on the ayahuasca? So I'm all for, hey, let's access these realms without having to put shit inside our bodies. Because guess what? Then it's with you tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. How does it get better? Seriously, how does it get better than that? And that's just moving and playing with the molecules and the energies. And it's like my being and body, your being and body, we do a dance together. And wherever you want to go is always up to you. Nothing will happen to you. It's all a matter of what you're willing and able to receive. By the time I got to Access, I had tried so many different techniques and modalities, and I've had a lot of really cool experiences, but none of it actually translated in my everyday life. Like my life didn't really get better. I was still struggling and all that. My wife had committed suicide. She struggled with mental health issues, bipolar disorder. I had 3 kids at the time. They were 10, 8, and 2.5 years old. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so when Access came along, I'm like, okay, I'll just try this. Dr. Dane almost killed himself. So he's a chiropractor too. Maybe there's something in this for me. And I started with the bars, Access Consciousness bars. That's why we're doing the bars class in Mexico, because we want to get back to the beginning, and because that's how it started for me, was with the bars. And I'll never forget, it was like my 3rd bars class. It was like my whole universe got rocked. I thought I was going to vomit all over the place. And then the next day I woke up and I felt like I had a brand new brain. I felt like God opened up my skull, took out my old brain, went put in a brand new fresh one that was nice and clean with no trauma and drama. And that was only like 11 months after my wife had died. And I know in some cultures down in Central and South America, you're supposed to mourn your loved ones for like 12 months and shit, right? You're supposed to wear like black every day for a whole year. Isn't that like a thing in some cultures? I'm not sure which cultures, but anyway, but I was like, you know what? I was feeling guilty too because I was happy. I was happy. I was like, what the fuck? And I remember my kids were like, we got to keep going, man. Dad, we got to keep going. Let's go. We got to meet Dr. Dane. We got to, please keep going, Dad. And I'm like, I don't have the money. It's too expensive. You know, we got to wait. We got to wait. They're like, the money will come, Dad. Use the tools. Use the tools. The money will show up. And they were right. The money fucking showed up. I don't know how it showed up, but it did show up because I wasn't making more money in my chiropractic business. It was weird, but the money showed up. I didn't put one class on a credit card. Not one. So I'm kind of all over the place right now, but it was like the tools work. They're real. There's true magic in them. And I hate using that word magic because it feels like a science fiction movie. I feel like I'm almost diminishing what's available for people in receiving the tools. And yeah, so that's what's up. You know, I got excited. You got me excited.
I know, I see you, I hear you. I love it. Thank you so much. Maybe if all of you didn't know what Anthony was saying at the first of the at the beginning of the call. Wait me a second. Something is okay. Okay, right. When Anthony was saying at the beginning of the call is that Fer and I, and Nat too, Natalia Tobon too, are hosting. I think like I want to like say a very great. I don't know if it's
We're
idea.
hosting a
Very,
worldwide group
yeah.
session.
It's like and no sé cómo este acontecimiento. It's like this amazing thing around the world, and I was like, okay, Anthony will do a group session, but now is the first time that will be like all around the world, like many cities. And that is like managing all the hosts in all countries. And we have Argentina, and we have Brazil, and we have Panama, and we have all of different American countries. And we are so excited to do the first group session of Symphony of Possibilities. That's what Anthony was saying at the first time. Then another thing that is amazing that Anthony mentioned it at the beginning too is like regular. He had like a special, like a price of his own group sessions, and then we was like, hey, Anthony, do you want to lower the price a lot? In order all of we to came, and Anthony was like, okay, let's lower the price. It's only $100. And then we are like receiving all that host, like world host in all the world, and we are receiving people. And the idea is to do the first great group worldwide Symphony of Possibilities. That's what Anthony was saying at the first time. So hopefully I will put your like all the information in our chat, and if you want to join us, it would be amazing. That's the first point. Our hosts are Natalia and First. Like we are like managing all that thing. And yeah, one of the topics, Anthony, that we are like putting in the chat, it was how it was like something rare because we put be the symphony of possibilities. Like, how can you describe that? How can you describe be the symphony of possibilities? Be you without limitation? That how can you like
That's a good
bring
question.
this
I mean,
energy?
yeah, I mean that's a difficult concept to wrap your head around because we're not taught how to be, we're taught how to do.
So
And if you want things to show up in your life, you must do to get them. And that's not how it works. You know, it's in, if you want things to show up in your life, if you desire to have things showing your life, it's what you be that has those things show up. So it's your being. Now that took me a long time to, at least with regards to sessions, to really begin to understand what it means to be. But what I can tell you is it does take a level of vulnerability, meaning like it's not about how much money you have. It's not about how handsome or beautiful you are. It's not about how much, whether or not you have insecurities and you're totally healed from all your insecurities, or you have abuses and you're not totally, it doesn't, none of that matters. It's about your being. And if you're willing to receive and gift these sessions from a space where your walls and barriers down and you have nothing to prove, it's not about your image. It's truly about this. Okay? Then that's when miracles can happen. And you know, you've heard stories like, I'll use an example. I know this is not like, I don't know why I keep bringing up church or whatever, but I'm just going to use this as an example. But there's a passage in the Bible where like this lady touched like the garment of Jesus's clothes and she got healed. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the being, and how even if someone touches your clothes, they can perceive the energy. And that's what we're inviting the whole world to. It's consciousness, it's energy, it's space without judgment, and which includes everything, you know. And that's something throughout many religions that we were told we can be and have, but they don't have an instruction book that tells us how to be. You get what I mean? It just tells you what you need to do to be right, but that hasn't really worked. But being is really where you include everything and judge nothing, and you show up with your walls and barriers down from that space of vulnerability, but not so that people can take advantage of you, but from the space of vulnerability where you are actually accessing all energies because you don't have any walls and barriers up to anything. So I'll give you simpler examples. For anyone who's had their own children and babies, or a puppy or a kitten, have you ever just held it and just be with it? Was there anything you were trying to prove? Did the amount of money you had in the bank matter? No. You were just being with the beautiful being, the baby, the puppy, the kitten. Or let's say when you are in the middle of just doing something you love. I don't know, maybe you're a musician, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a writer, you know, maybe you love numbers, you know, and numbers are fun for you. And when you're doing numbers and columns and accounting, it's so fun for you because everything adds up, you know, and you're just so present. Being is a level of presence that you are for yourself, and if you're working with someone, for that person. And that's such a gift. It's such a gift. To me it is, and to me it has been a gift for me when I've received this work, you know, and it's changed my life dynamically. And you know, and look, there's no top of the mountain, there's no mountaintop that I've arrived at that's now has made me super conscious. Consciousness is an evolution, and you will be on that journey forever. I still have my struggles in certain areas. There are some days where I'm like, have I really been a facilitator for 13 and a half years, or been using these tools? Because some days I feel like 30 years ago. But you know what? Those may last one day, 2 days, because I have tools I can use And I realize I'm like, oh my God, I'm just aware of the shit that's going on in the world. None of that even belongs to me. Like none of it. And that's really cool too, because you start to realize how psychic you really are. But not necessarily psychic in the fun way, psychic in the like, oh my God, I'm like, I know about all this shit and the lies and the deceit that's going on in the world everywhere. We need to wake up as a human race. I don't know if anybody's got that memo. If we don't wake up globally, we're going to be fucked. And not just in certain countries, it's going to be all over. We need to wake up. And to me, these tools, or look, any kind of tools you're doing to help you to be more awake or to help you to know thyself, it's fucking mandatory now. Humanity needs to wake up as a whole because we're not going to have an earth available for our children and our grandchildren. So, this is all about getting you to access more of you without worrying about what anybody else thinks about you, Natalia, including family. It's waking up, creating your life, utilizing your gift and talents, no matter who fucking judges you and makes you wrong for it, because they're afraid they're going to lose you. Because they're threatened that you're stepping up into more. Sorry, I'm just teasing Natalia. Making a joke.
Natalia, hi. Yes, I'm Natalia. Right. I'm like, melted already. Thank you, Anthony. And what, okay, if you can, I don't know if all of the people that are here knows you like before, but if you can tell us like 2 or 3 questions, your favorite one, or your favorite tools, or your favorite quote, or your favorite anything. We are like, we will do like this, like screensavers of all the of a question, of a tool, of a, like one of those that you will save right now. We will put it in a screensaver and share it to all of
so
we
many
that we are. Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you
Well,
pick?
let's just start off with the easy ones.
Okay.
Receiving access consciousness bars. Why? Because it helps to defrag your brain. For those of you who do know computers, it basically resets your brain. It's like when you have to clean up your computer, so your computer can start running better. It just helps your brain. It's so much more than that, way more than that. But the bars, it really helps to rewire your brain and get you more clear-minded. It's fantastic. The body processes, okay? Fantastic. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I was probably the most depressed that I'd ever been in probably 20 years. And I knew it didn't belong to me, but I couldn't snap out of it. And the bars wasn't even working. But Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, he discovered a new body process, which is also cool about Access because they're always updating the different body processes and techniques and tools. So like nothing gets old. And I received this process called cognitive dissonance for the first time. The very next day, I woke up and I was like, that depression's gone. It wasn't from advice someone gave me. It wasn't something that I figured out in my head. It was simply from receiving that body process. And then I looked at Julia and I'm like, can you do it again, honey? Because it did something. I don't know what it changed, but that heavy, dark cloud, gone. So she runs it on me again. The next day, I was like running around like a little tiny doggy who just finished taking a big poop, and he came back into his house and he's running around in a circle because he took a big poop and he's got so much energy because the poop's not inside his body anymore. Do you guys have dogs like that in Mexico? Like, right? Like the little dogs, they get so happy after they poopy, they go running around in a big circle. It's always the little dogs, you know? Anyway, that's how I felt. I was like, woo! So bars, body processes, verbal tools, like things I would say in my brain. I love this one. This is like one of my favorite. If you had 10 seconds to live the rest of your life, what would you choose? Now, I would say that to myself when I first started Access 13 years ago, and I'm still mourning the death of my wife, depressed, worrying about the kids, all that stuff. And then I'm like, okay, if I had 10 seconds to live the rest of my life, what would I choose right now? And what that created was for me to get present in the now moment. And I forgot about the past, and I didn't get worried about the future. And what it did was, for those 10 seconds, it allowed me to make a choice in the now so that I would have a different tomorrow. See, because the reason why people's lives don't change, here's the key to all of it, is because they're not willing to choose something different. They're not willing to make a different choice than the ones they've been making. People most often would rather stay stuck in the same thing than making a different choice and not knowing what the future outcome will hold because they're afraid. But when you ask that question, if I had 10 seconds to live the rest of my life, what would I choose? You don't have time to be scared. You're going to die. Make a fucking choice. And that really helped me. And I know some people are like, well, I'm not dying in 10 seconds. Well, how do you know? How the fuck do you know you're not going to get hit by a bus tomorrow? What do you want to choose between this moment and tomorrow morning before you get hit by a bus? How would you like to live your life? What would you like to eat? What would you like to say to someone you love? That was fucking a home run for me. If you guys do baseball, I mean, that was like everything for me. Um, what was the other one? There were a lot of tools that fucking annoyed me. I was like, bullshit. But like, who does this belong to? I'm like, bull fucking shit. It's mine. My depression belongs to me. I didn't like that one. It took me years to really like understand all that. So I would be lying if I said I used who does this belong to. I did not use who does this belong to because I like my drama and trauma better than any Mexican telenovela, as you heard me say before. And that's the truth. I love my drama and trauma, and I'm very passionate. Okay. But the other tool was um, would an infinite being really choose this? If not, then why would I?
Yeah.
So it really started to get me to look at like myself as a valuable product. Like, you know, I am the source for creating my life. My future depends upon what I choose in this moment. So if I want my life to look different 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I need to start making different choices today. And
Totally.
and also, oh, and the tool of vulnerability. You know, I reach out to my friends. I'll reach out to the facilitators I trust. And then I got lucky. I got lucky in that I got to call Gary and Dane. I got lucky, and I try to be that same person for the people I have facilitated along the way. Because I know we still get stuck, but I had to be vulnerable. I had to be willing to look deep inside my anus and look at my shit. And it's not comfortable. if you really choose to be on a consciousness journey, whether it's with access consciousness or some other modality that has to do with like knowing thyself, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's okay. There's going to be some moments where you feel like you're dying, literally, and you are. The shitty parts, that's okay too. There's going to be days where you're like, I don't even know who I am. I've identified myself as a father for so fucking long. I'm a father. It's my job to save my children. It's my job to keep my children from having mental illness like their mother. Do you know what a fucking burden that is to put on yourself? You know, but that was my identity. But it's like, who am I beyond that? Because your kids are gonna grow up, they're gonna do whatever they want to fucking do, no matter how many seeds of consciousness you sowed into their universe. They're gonna choose whatever they're gonna fucking choose, despite all your efforts to save them.
Oh.
And that's not an easy pill to swallow. Especially when you've been working your ass to prevent certain things, right? And it's like, whoa. But I have to get into a place because now my children are 24, 22, and 16, almost 17. They just need me when they need money or something. Or if they call me for facilitation, which is rare because they think they have, my two sons think they have all the fucking answers now. Okay. They grew up in Access. They think they know it all. Okay. Good luck with it. And, you know, it's another thing is being, okay, allowance. That's the other tool. But you know what? I didn't learn that one in the early days. I had to learn that about a year ago, right?
Oh.
And that's really truly living an interesting point of view, which nobody does. I've been doing Access long enough to know that not one fucking person does interesting point of view. Not in the way that it's supposed to be used. Most people do interesting point of view to kind of stab somebody else when they say something they don't agree with. But interesting point of view, Moan, that you have that point of view. You know, that's not being an interesting point of view. That's just being an asshole.
I know.
So vulnerability.
Allowance.
If I had 10 allowance, if I had 10 seconds to live the rest of my life, what do I choose? That's fucking beautiful. I love that one. And would an infinite
Bars
being choose this?
and bars and body process. You
Oh
say a
yeah,
lot.
dude, hands down.
I
I
said
mean, please.
three, Anthony. I said three.
I know, but you can't. You can't say three. It's like, oh my god.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for this call. We love you to have you here. Um, and we are so happy that you will be here in Mexico City for a marathon. If you wanna join us, Anthony will be here at the 3rd of August, like almost the next month for us for the Symphony of Possibilities group session. Mexico will be the official
Come in
live
person.
set in
You can
person.
do it live. You can do it online, but there's just something a little extra about being in person.
And
It
we
really
wanna
is.
it's the first invitation in person or
Yeah.
in online. I'm so glad because here we have a lot of our hosts. I saw Jaime like raising the hand and said Peru. Uh, Hopefully he is hosting Peru.
Thank
We
you so
have
much.
further maybe Teru that maybe will host Ecuador. And we have
Wow.
a lot of hosts. So thank you so much, Molly, that is part of our team and that will with Pascual we do it on Chihuahua. And then I want to thank you all that the hosts that are already raising their hands to have our back in this wave of Symphony of Possibilities. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We will be like letting you know the details. If you want to be a host all around the world, we will put the details at the chat, at the Wizards chat. And then Anthony will came first in the morning for the symphony session, then with a bar class, and then with a taste of the symphony class, when you will allow yourself to play without that symphony and to know how do you
To do
describe
it,
the taste
to
of
be
the
with it.
symphony?
Yeah.
To be with it. Yeah. So hopefully we have you here soon, and we are so glad to see you and to hear you and to be with you as always. Thank you for this gift.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Thank you, hosties. Bye. Grateful.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
See you soon.
See you soon.